Hello and welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about my 2025 every ride carry. So all of the items that have accompanied me over the course of the year. So without further ado, let's get into the video. But before we do that, let me disclose to you that none of these items have been sponsored. I am not being paid to feature any of the items here in this video. So all of the thoughts are my own. And now, into the video. To begin with, let's start with the bike computer because I usually ride on every ride with the bike computer. And for this year, I've been using the Magine C606 head unit. We can quickly check how many kilometers I did this year because I've pretty much only used this one. As you can see, it's about 2,100, not too much, but I've also been running quite a lot this year. But yeah, what can I say about this head unit? First of all, it works very, very well. I had the Wahoo Element Bolt 2.0 before, and that roughly costs about 350 or so euros, and this only 140, 150 or so. So there's quite a bit of a price difference. And when it comes to functionality and feature set, I would say this is on equal terms with the Wahoo Element Bolt. It is crazy how much value for money you get with this bike computer. It has route planning features, it has start to end routing. So if you only need like 95% of the feature set of the highest range head units that are out on the market, then yeah, I highly suggest take a look at this Magine head unit C606. The link is down in the description. It works very well for me. And with that, we get to the next category of items, and that is how do you pump up your tires if you're on the road? And I have two different kinds of items for that. First of all, you have the trusty little mini pump. This is the AliExpress Ride Race mini pump. This is one of the best value for money items I have ever seen on AliExpress. So this pump, I think, cost me about 3 euros and 50 cents or so. So about $4 I would say. It works very well. It can pump up your whole tire in, I would say, less than 2 minutes. This is to me one of the greatest mini pumps on the market. It comes with a little bottle cage mount. So as you can see on the B-roll shots, I usually have it on my frame. It's pretty nifty because it's out the way. You always have it with you on your ride and you don't have to charge it. It basically always works. It is very reliable. I've used it a couple of times now. And for the money that you spend, this is probably one of the best items on AliExpress. Highly recommend it. But as you know, there has been something new on the market for 1 or 2 years now. And that is these electric mini pumps. So if I go on longer rides, if I go on backpacking trips, I always take the mini pump because I want to have the reliability of not having to charge it at all. But I've also really come to like these electric mini pumps. This one is the Cyc Plus AS2 Ultra. The nifty thing about these ones is that in terms of weight and size, they're pretty comparable to the mini pumps nowadays. This one is about 120 grams all in, so not heavy at all. You set your PSI, you set your pressure, you hook it onto your valve, and then... But yeah, you don't have to stand there, pump the whole time, you can just press a button and it works. This AS2 Ultra, on my road bike, I run 35mm tires on 700cc wheels, and I can pretty much fill up 3 full tires with this little thing. So for your daily rides, this is definitely enough. Some people like the convenience. It is a bit of a novelty item. You don't really have to have it. But yeah, Cyc Plus sent this item to me a couple of months ago. And yeah, I quite like to use it for that application. If you like the convenience, check out the link in the description. It is an affiliate link, so I do get a little bit of kickback from every sale that goes through the link. But yeah, I'm telling you, you don't necessarily need it, but it's nice to have. And with that, let's get into the saddle pouch. And yeah, I am someone who rides with a saddle pouch. Some people love it, some people hate it. I quite like it actually because I like to have the reassurance to be able to always fix pretty much all of the problems that can regularly occur on your rides. But let's open it up and see what is inside. As you can see here in the B-roll shots, this is a Dyneema pouch, and the pouch I will get into in just a little bit. Let's start on the left side here. Another one of my favorite AliExpress items. This is again from the company called Ride Race, and this is a master link tool. So if your chain breaks, you can have a couple of these little master links in here. Even though one is a little bit rusty now, you can be reassured to always be able to continue to ride. Yeah, this tool is quite nice because it also acts as a tire lever here. It is metal on carbon if you ride with carbon rims, so that's not perfect, but if you're in a pinch and you need a tire lever as well, this one has it. So in terms of the functionality of just being able to just quickly unlink your chain and clip it back together, I think this is quite nice. This item was also really, really cheap. I think less than 5 euros. I'll put the screenshot here somewhere. For the price, it It is very well constructed. It is aluminum. To me, it is a great little companion. And with that to the next item, and that is this little box here. As you know, I run tubeless on pretty much all of my bikes, and sometimes it is nice to have the little worm tool. If you get a puncture and you have still some sealant left in your tire, that you can just pick up one of these worms, slap it in the tire and then pull it out, and then it usually seals itself. To be fair, I never had to use this one, funnily enough. I haven't had a flat tire in about 2.5 years now, so yeah. Knock on wood, but up until now it's going pretty well. You cannot be certain that that will continue to be that way. It is always nice to be prepared. So this little ZTTO tubeless tire plug tool is definitely also on the recommendation list, especially because it costs like €2 or so. So yeah, again, one of the great little purchases from AliExpress. With that, we get to the multi-tool of the Every Ride Carry, and I have two different ones. First of all, this is a little tool that I made myself. It is a combination of a Crank Brothers tool and a Topeak tool, a Topeak Mini 9. And yeah, I basically slapped both of those tools together because the Crank Brothers one had the chain link tool, which was not available on the Mini 9. It is pretty important to have it, especially on longer trips. This is my little concoction. Cannot buy it on AliExpress, cannot buy it anywhere actually, because you have to buy the Crank Brothers tool and the Mini 9. But yeah, if you have the spare cash and you want something that is very, very light, this is pretty much as light as it gets. And yeah, for that it's very convenient. But if you don't want to go through that little hassle, I have found something on AliExpress that is pretty much one of my most favorite items I've ever found on AliExpress. I've also released a short video of that already, but it is this West Biking mini wrench tool set. In terms of value for money and quality, this is such a crazy good pickup. So as you can see, you have a mini ratchet here that you can just plug together and a full bit set, so you are really prepared for whatever comes on your ride. So if I just take this little T25 Torx key, you can see that the ratchet works as to be expected. And it is also reversible, of course. Sometimes, especially if you're on longer rides, if you're on bikepacking trips, it is nice to know that when things will happen, because on longer bikepacking trips, as you know, it is not a if something happens, but when it happens. And if you have to use it more often, then it is nice to have the convenience of being able to put some leverage on it as well, and not just have sort of like a flimsy little tool. But also, it is a very nice form factor, because as you can see, it fits easily into this little pouch here, and pretty much on all of the other saddlebag pouches as well. Also, what you have here is two tire levers, so even if you get a flat tire, you are safe with this one. The only thing missing for this little kit is a chain tool, which is a bit annoying because there's definitely some space to put it on here. But in any other case, this is a very, very cool little item. West Biking mini wrench set, also linked in the description down below, so if you want to check it out. With that being said, we get to the most important Every Ride Carry item in terms of security, and that is these little TPU inner tubes. So I mean, we've pretty much all had a puncture on the road at some point in our lives, and if that happens, you gotta be able to exchange the inner tube pretty quickly, and these little TPU inner tubes are kind of perfect for that. They are very, very light and they pack down very compactly, so I can always take two instead of one of these bigger butyl tubes, the ones that most people are familiar with. But yeah, this is a very nifty evolutionary step in the world of inner tubes, and I personally would never go back. There's one negative about them: they're a bit more difficult to install than butyl tubes. You have to be a lot more careful because the material is very thin. And they come with these little patches that in case something happens or you puncture your little TPU tube, you can also patch those. But pretty much the whole cycling community has come to an agreement that they don't work at all. But I have to say that in terms of their lightness, even if it's a bit more risky to install them, they are still the right option, and they pretty much these days cost the same as a butyl tube. So I think you can pick one up for about €8 or $9 or so. Really nifty. Yeah, and other than that, not much more to say about those. And the last item on the list is my little pouch, and as you can see by how unprofessional it looks, I have made this myself actually. I wanted to experiment a little and try to create a little Dyneema pouch, and that is this one. This is basically the exact same dimension as the little pouch I've had before, which was the Atacus Ride pouch, which is also on the screen here. Yeah, I've taken the same dimensions and more or less just made it out of Dyneema. But if you want want a very solid ride pouch, I can highly recommend the Atticus ride pouch. It's a small UK brand, so it might be a bit more difficult to get, but also AliExpress has some really nice options to, yeah, carry all of that stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. These are all of the items I take on my ride when I go out. If you're interested, click the links in the description below. You really help out the channel. And with that being said, have a great week. Bye bye.